those Jeep half doors?
I'm looking at them right now. These are like 400 bucks. 450 bucks. I don't want to blow that. You know what? I'll make my own. Yeah, so this is my Jeep for this tubular half door that I'm setting out to build. The plan is to just a simple 4-bar weldment. You see this style line here, so that'll be the half door part. So my plan is maybe to run a tube this way, such that you can attach, the hinges on, and then maybe a tube here, here, and here. So again, nothing complicated. I don't have a tubing bender. This Jeep has about a 2-inch roll cage, so I'm just off the top of my head thinking maybe a piece of rectangular tubing, 2x1. And again, a simple construction. You have a tubing bender and that expertise certainly might look nicer, but yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to sketch it out and lay it out, and hopefully this will work out. Okay, so literally we're going to do some back of the envelope sketches. So the design, like I said, is the rectangular tubing, follow that style line. I took some measurements. Basically, this was a 16-inch piece. This measured out to 30 3/4 of an inch. This one was 29 1/4. And this section here is right about 11 1/2. So I will cut these. This one's very easy because, again, the hinges, you are going to basically, this will stop and end at the hinge kind of plates of the stock vehicle. These two beams I will cut oversize. This is a 12-degree angle, and so I'll cut these slightly oversized because you can't add material, but you can always take it away. I'll probably have to fine-tune this when I trial fit parts, etc. Okay, so I cut up the tubes for one door, as you see here. Like I said in the sketch, my, I guess, main hinge beam, if you will, that's a 16-inch. The top beam is 30 3/4 of an inch, and that's where you would start your angled cut of 12 degrees. Same thing, the lower one, but it's 29 1/4, cut at 12 degrees. And then the top and bottom also is cut at 12 degrees. So a good tip is when you set up that angle, you can cut all of these angles at once, so you don't have to keep doing your setup. This one, the angle dimension is 11 inches. I would maybe leave that a little long, because you can grind these flat, and you're going to want to cap these off as well. I got some of these clamps at Arbor Freight for like $2.50. The spin crate items are magnetic, so they hold your angles true when you're tacking it together. And then the hinges, I got, this is 3/8 diameter cold rolled steel rod. Go with cold rolled steel. Hot rolled, the pin is probably going to want to bend on you. And this forms the outside of the hinge. This is 1/2 inch tubing. I forget the wall thickness. It's a standard size, but this ID basically is 3/8, so you can press it right on. 2 by 1/8 inch thick plate. I will utilize these to build the caps, as well as offset, I guess, footings for the hinges, since you need the spacing for it to clear the hinge and work. So for both doors, I'm in at $55 in materials from my local steel shop, Wasatch Steel. This project's quite less than buying Chinese-made ones from the various vendors, Jeep vendors. Door closure mechanism, the $2 Harbor Freight gate latch, and I've already modified it. It comes with a rivet, so I just ground the rivet head off, popped it out, and replaced it with this screw, just so I could remove the actual latch, because the striker is a different diameter. So I already worked one, I got it to work, so I took a Sharpie and marked the areas that I'm gonna trim away. So I'll trim these away roughly with a grinder and a cutting wheel, and then I'll polish it with a sand roll, as well as opening up the throat of this with the sand roll until I get a good fit with the striker. So I'll show you a little bit of that right now. For this project, I bought my first right angle grinder, and it's been an invaluable tool. A lot better than an air grinder in my opinion, because it has the power to just remove large quantities of material, and with this cutting wheel it's just a snap. So I'll try to do this as good as I did on the other one. Yeah, this cutting wheel does a nice job, and so you get the idea, and you want to try to round all this off. You don't want this to be sharp. Okay, so this is my die grinder with sand roll, and I took away, you know, the biggest pieces of material with the grinder, and then I'm gonna kind of polish it and round these off with the. Same thing with this part. You're gonna open this throat up, and then you'll go kind of do trial fits with the striker on the door until it fits good. Reinstall the screw. You're gonna have to cut the ear off of this bracket, otherwise it'll collide with the body of the Jeep, and just retain it with the 2 screws. So you'll have a left or a right, because this jaw, the whole faces up, so just pay attention to that, and if you screw it up, it's only $2. Okay, so you see here I tacked the hinge. What I found with the other door was, this is the hinge, I guess sub-assembly, sub-weldment. It's tacked as well. So you install it into the hinge. See, this excess isn't a problem because you can just grind that off. But what you're going to want to do, use your clamp, make sure that this hinge works and is set up good before you go and weld it. So these are handy to have before you tack it. I tried to attach these, weld them on or tack them on and then install it, and it's a difficult job. So this is a kind of a little tip, I guess, from that I learned. And my clamp ain't working, but you get the idea. So again, tack the bottom one, install it, install the top hinge, and tack it in place, and then you can remove it. It's tack. I'm using flux core, so you got to brush that off, the ugly slag. But you see the hinge works. And now I've got to remove it and finish the weld. there you go. You see I painted these, and I maybe shouldn't be handling that. Okay, and as you see here, I added on, I have side view mirrors, which used to mount here, and they'd always annoy me because they'd be right in my kind of peripheral or side view, whatever. So I made these. These are just an adaptation of this tube. Took this tube, welded, I bent it, filled this all with weldment, and then ground it. It isn't beautiful, but you can make it beautiful, I guess, if you fill it in with Bondo or whatever. Just weld it better, I guess. But for what I do with this thing, beautiful doesn't matter. So the next step, we'll put the latch assembly together, and I guess the mirror, and I'll wrap it up. Okay, so I don't know if you can zoom in on that. You can see I had to massage that jaw with the grinder. And what you do is, you just take little by little, gauge and hold it. And so that, that's all you got to do to modify that. In mounting these, I like to put some Loctite because I tap these holes, and there ain't very many threads. There's only about 2.5 threads. But it shouldn't be a big deal, but the Loctite will hopefully stop them from wanting to loosen and fall out. And, the biggest thing with the threads, when you don't have to get crazy tight with these, you just snug them up, and the Loctite, will do the rest. There's a myriad of ways you could pull this off. If you don't like this, think it's cheesy, that's fine. You can come up with your own idea. But I like how it closes, like a door, and kind of has a positive action to it. You don't have a loose, lanyarded pin or something like that. We're snug, and see how it closes. Good. So then the next thing we're going to do is put the door knob on, and I'll be back. So this is about a 2.5-inch long spring. I got it from McMaster-Carr. Same thing with this ferrule. I think it makes like 4 pounds at max deflection. Feels pretty good. Same thing with this knob. I just drilled a through hole. It came with a 1/4-inch hole, and then I ordered a piece of this cable. You could make it up yourself if you wanted. It has this little, crimp. It's 8 inches long. I have a lot of excess. I actually pressed a roll pin in here to give the spring kind of a seat so it isn't all moving around. And it, it's a 1/8 or 3/16 roll pin. I drilled a hole obviously in the latch handle. The spring, like I say, will seat on here, kind of be guided. Feed them through like yay. And then you got your crimp to hold everything together. You crimp it, trim off excess, and that's the door latch. So here's finished installation. Let's pull on the knob, open it, close it. One other detail, we'll come over to the other one. What I did is just I got a drill and tapped hole here, and just a pair of chokers. You can get these ferrules, you can get these at like Lowe's or Home Depot. And it's similar to a strap. I mean, maybe you want to get a vinyl coated one so it doesn't tear up your paint. I really don't care. This is an old Jeep. But maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the deal. Hopefully it has helped you. Subscribe and like or whatever you do on YouTube. And I guess we'll film some other projects I got in mind for this Jeep. Thanks for watching.